all the questions that you have asked are really within the frame, the big frame of importance. So therefore, I can assure you that there was no compromise on what was the important concept. So don't worry. And besides, these are all my reflections from the writings. It's not anything I invented. So it's available to everyone. So just so because we're going to discuss more. I've been discussing it, but we're going to be discussing more the bridge between the mindfulness movement. So I would like to show you a few things. I wish you can see that. There are certain literature that comes out for mental health professionals as a kind of continued education. And everybody needs continued education units in order to renew their licenses. So for me as a marriage, family, and child therapist or counselor, I have to have 36 units of continued education for every 2 years in order to renew my license. So this magazine, which is Psychotherapy Networker, is one of the magazines that serves the professionals. And as you can see, one whole unit was dedicated to mindfulness goes viral. And it's just articles after articles from the gurus of the field. And very briefly, I have for you the book that I mentioned. Now, again, because of the whole openness of the new field, which is neuroscience, which we didn't have many years ago, now we have all these experiments with the Buddhist monks. They put them under MRI and scanners, and then they see how their brain gets activated, which center of the brain gets activated when they're meditating. And so they are connecting a lot of activities in the brain with meditation, with prayer, with thoughts, with feelings, all of these. It doesn't mean that the brain basically is the generator of those, and that's another interesting discovery of this whole neuroscience, that they have now become very convinced that the brain is not the same as the mind. The word mind in Arabic and Persian is used in the writing is aql, which is very much what we would consider wisdom. But it's much bigger than this. It's a poem that says, عقل کجا پی برد شیوه سودایش راه نیابی به عقل حل معمایش. Says you cannot find with your mind, you cannot find the secret of love. There's no way love can cover terrains that mind cannot ever reach there. So, and as you know, the Persian poetry, mystical poetry, has been integrated into the Baha'i writings. So, mind now, before, like 10, 15 years ago, field of mental health thought that mind, the thought that brain was it. But now, thank God, they have come to realize that's not it. So these developments has made it very much converging towards the faith. When I first went to graduate school, 1980s, early 1980s, the head of the university asked me, he says, well, why are you, I was an economist. I studied economics of developing countries in the United States, 1966, 1968. I went back to Iran and worked for the Plan Organization of Iran. The reason was because the government wanted to have me work for them. They didn't even give me the paper to fill out to say the religion, because they wanted. In fact, the government gave me a scholarship to come to universities and study that. So I went back and I worked for the plan organization for a couple of years. I married and came out. It was in Germany, and then left later on to come to the United States. And after my children, my Nason and Negar, my two older children, growing my younger children, now the child Nawa, who's now an emergency physician, so she's early 30s. She was about 5. Then I decided I'm going to really find out this relationship between the faith and the writings of the faith, the mystical aspect of it, and the science, because the bridge was not there. Still, there are not very many Baha'i therapists who do that. I mean, we have a lot of Baha'is who are therapists, and I learned the hard way by referring to one of them that we did presentation. Somebody asked me, do you know anybody in that area who is, really a therapist who integrates the writing? I said, oh yeah, I do. And because we presented together. And so I sent this person, and the therapist said, no, I'm a psychologist. I only do it the way I was taught at university. I don't do any integration. Well, I did not know that. I thought people do. So there's very, very few who do it, because it takes a lot of work, a lot of reflection, a lot of integration. So this head of the Department of Behavior Sciences at this university said, why are you coming to study after all this? I said, well, because I come from a very rich mystical background, a spiritually rich mystical background. I want to bridge it with what psychology has. And she got really upset. I mean, she heard me that, and she thought probably that I am polluting the whole field of science by bringing my spiritual curiosity. At that time, exactly the approach of science was don't bring spiritual things into it because it dilutes and pollutes and takes away from the scientific aspect of it. She said, don't mention that word here again. So, so I said, okay, I'm not going to say anything anymore. So I kept quiet through the whole thing. My goodness, I remember sometimes I would just be, blew my mind. That was the time that God was dead, marriage was wrong, and all my fellow students were divorcing after they entered the field. And so I would I would look forward to the meeting of our spiritual assembly, because that was my refuge, to go there and have some sane people to talk to. So, my goodness, the field, some years ago, for the first time, I went to a conference for, again, continuing education. It was taught by Dr. Daniel Siegel, who is a psychiatrist at UCLA. And he, for the first time, he wrote this book called Developing Mind, and he started entering very carefully, very calculatedly, very cautiously, kind of bringing out this whole idea that mind and the brain are not the same. He was afraid because, boy, they would attack him, and it took him many years of, tiptoeing around it in order to find a safe place, and still they're living. So what happened is, then science came to the field, and they did this, and then the field opened, and I see the conversion of the faith, the whole field towards the faith, which is refreshing, because for me the standard was always the faith. So when I remember, I used to work at a hospital initially, and there was the supervisor was a specialist in psychodrama. I don't know if you know, any of you know what is psychodrama. It's a frame where they have all these patients in the hospital who are inpatients. I mean, they were suicidal and they were serious stuff. And so the supervisor was working within the hospital. He would bring them all into this big, huge room like this, and then he would tell them to tell their stories. So their narrative, their story. And they all had these really very dramatic, very harsh, very difficult, very dark stories. And then he would tell them, he would entice them to remember how their mother, made their life miserable, whatever it was. And then they would give them this big, almost like bats that were made out of some substance which was pliable, and they would have to beat this, whatever, and yell and scream, and I'm watching, and I'm thinking to myself, what did I say Abdul Baha ever doing something like that, or suggesting something like that? And it just doesn't agree with me, and I've never seen in the writings anything like that. I'm thinking, I'm wondering how these people are really going to be getting better. I'm curious to know, are they going to get better? And I'm observing, I'm learning, and one day, it just a light bulb goes up in my head, and I see this woman come, and she starts, the minute this, this therapist tells her, oh, go ahead and tell me the story of how your mom did this and that, and so you got suicidal. She gets mad at him. She says, for 6 years, I've been coming to this hospital. This is my 6th year, and I've been cussing at my mother, and I'm not getting better, and I'm not going to do that anymore. So she refused. And I said, oh, I get it. And so I said, okay, that's not it. That's not gonna be part of my life. So you have to read the whole field constantly. There's so much stuff like that. And then later on, I was working with a group, and they had this whole process. I'm sure so many of you have heard it. This is a process of like 7 days. They go into this retreat, and they have first 3 days, and then the 4th day. And so she kept telling me, could you refer some of your patients to me? And I said, what do you guys do in that whole process? She said, it's very powerful, it's very powerful. So I'm observing, and I see that they have this 7 days, and it's secret, and they sequester people, and they stay in a hotel. I'm thinking, no, that's something, and so is this very effective? Oh, I mean, really people change, completely transformation. I said, okay. Before I would send any of my patients to you, I need to see this. I need to be there, and I need to really see up close. So I have to find a patient who would be bad enough for me to put to something that, you know, can be so drastic. So I had a patient who was really, had several addictions, more than anything else, was very numb in his ability to feel. And so I said, well, maybe this would jolt him out of his stupor. But I go with him. No, let him go by himself. So I said to my colleague, okay, I'm going to bring this patient, but I'm going to come with him. And so she said, okay, so you'll be the staff for 7 days. I said, okay, I'll be there. 7 days? I said. Okay, so I watched this process. I'm watching, I'm thinking. I mean, I called it the Humpty Dumpty process. They would basically break these people with really harsh, enticing them to feel strongly about certain things that whatever they felt, and then getting them to really react emotionally, and then hopefully that they would build them again. And so and then if sometimes these people become so reactive emotionally that there are a whole bunch of staff that is supposed to control them, make sure that they don't get out of control. So this person was a big guy, huge guy, and well, being a Persian, being a Baha'i, he had some experiences with, you know, the history of the faith. So in one of these activities, they put him against the wall, and they, in order to get him really emotionally reactivated, they started shooting him. And he got out of control, because now the history of the Bab, I mean the martyrdom of the Bab, the killing of the Baha'is in Iran, I mean that was beyond his civilized limits. And he was dashing out of there, and the whole staff was trying to contain him. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not like him, so I had to go talk to him. So I had to calm him. I said, if I wasn't there, that I don't know what was going to happen. So I decided, you know what? These people are making a lot of money, and they're still making a lot of money by this Humpty Dumpty business. A lot of people go to them. What I realized, which was very eye eye-opening for me, and I asked my colleague, I said, how come if you are treating these people, absolutely transforming them, they must be building such a strong relationship with you that they will continue to come to you forever. How is it that none of them continues in therapy with you? Very shortly after that, they would just abandon the whole thing. She said, no, they don't. So I thought to myself, this relationship is not a very strong relationship. It doesn't pay off very well. But I still see people talking about it, and I still see people go on because their marketing is very strong. So what happened is the field became a lot more, again, converged towards the faith, and easier and easier. So now we have this very interesting phenomenon is happening now within the bosom of the mindfulness. And why? Because initially, the person who started the mindfulness business in the West, I don't know how many of you have heard him talk, John Kabat-Zinn. How many of you have heard him talk? John Kabat-Zinn. He was a scientist, biologist, some stuff like whether in Massachusetts. And he was noticing that when he goes and talks to the patients, they don't seem to be really getting a lot better as a result of, treatment. And 10% maybe. And he decided that, there must be something more to what we can do. And he was himself converted into Buddhism. By the way, this is my understanding, that the movement of the Buddhism, and you should had better talk to Ian Kuji, who was here yesterday. He's a former Buddhist, right? He's very knowledgeable about that. They did not, a lot of people, intellectuals in the West, they did not really like the fundamentalist controlling approach of Christianity. And they said, we just don't want to deal with that system of control. We need to find ourselves something a lot more at liberty so we can kind of homestead in it. To me, it seems like they said, okay, this is good, because the people like Daniel Goleman, John Kabat-Zinn, a whole gang of them, they became inclined, and they went in there, became Buddhists, and but one thing John Kabat-Zinn discovered 30 years ago, that if he markets this mindfulness business and meditation with the spiritual context within that of Buddhism, and he said this himself, that would be a career suicide. So he kind of divorced it completely from the spiritual origin of it, and he delivered it and marketed it as a relaxation, basically physical benefits of it. Relaxing the body, and he says, well, 1970s, we talked about stress. What stress, if you compare it with now? But that's what's the whole, and then the trend went, they marketed it, they went all this journey, and now it is in everything. Google, army, medicine, companies, everybody is into mindfulness and meditation. So the question is first, they ask him, what is now here, in this picture you see, I think you cannot really see it. You see it here. You see all the people in this one, I don't know what it is, like a Hollywood ball as far as I'm concerned. Is everybody standing there and doing meditation, like thousands of people doing meditation together. And this whole concept of self now has become under question, which is very fascinating, because this is again converging towards the faith. Because what is one of the concepts of the faith is selflessness, right? I remember oh my goodness, like about 20 some years ago when I was practicing, I had a colleague that had cancer, and she was really soul searching a lot. And the minute I would talk about the whole concept of the high concept of selflessness, she would get really mad. She would think, and she would say, how much wants me to become nothing, to give up myself. And I'm not going to ever do that. That is subversive, that I would give up myself. Myself is everything. And then, well, the whole way of talking, therapy was, you know, how do you feel, what do you think, and the whole notion of acknowledging people's feelings. Okay, so you're angry. Yeah, you're angry or whatever. Oh, this is what you're thinking. Oh, wow. Yeah, I hear you. I'm benevolent listener, all of those things. But there was no, that's one thing they told us, don't you ever, as a therapist, introduce your values into the process of therapy. So the therapist was supposed to go there completely clean of any values, which is impossible. Because the whole notion of actually meditation that you blanket your mind is absolutely impossible. And the meditation field knows that. It's impossible. Your mind is made, your brain, your mind is made to think constantly. That's why we have several kinds of meditation. And Daniel Goleman, who is the author of Emotional Intelligence and Social Intelligence, he's a journalist, but he's a psychologist. He clearly, very nicely explains it. He said, you know, one kind of meditation is you silence yourself and you watch your thought like a wild, unruly child, running everywhere, touching everything, going here and going there, and wayward. And you just watch. Basically, you separate yourself from your thought so you can observe your thought, and you say, okay, my thought is a wild, wayward, unruly child. And the hope is by observing that, you don't make such a big deal out of what you're thinking. You're not going to be, you know, hurting other people, divorcing because of your thought. Okay, so my thought produces a lot of garbage and does a lot of catastrophic thinking. It's just my thought. And that's what some cognitive behavioral therapists help you do, be able to observe, and then maybe introduce to you some other thoughts. You say, okay, what can you think alternative? What could be your alternative thought? Well, you hope that the therapist has some insight to give you some good alternative thought. My feeling is for us to have the writings, we need to go to the writings for our alternative thoughts. So what I would do is, at the beginning of a therapeutic session, with Baha'is especially, even non-Baha'is, even when I was supervising non-Baha'i therapists, I would say, bring me something at the beginning of the session that is, you're looking up to it, it's an inspiration to you, it elevates your thought, it's a theme that can guide us through this session. This is for my supervisees. For Baha'is, I say, bring me before the session, find me a prayer that was, within it there is a phrase and a word that guides you and addresses whatever it is that you're going to be discussing in session. So basically, going and searching, maybe they find something like, I will not dwell on the unpleasant things of life. Whatever it is that they choose, that's okay with me. So we would start our session with that. And then I will ask them, what is it in this that it speaks to you? And they need to identify it. And how do you let that passage influence the way you see the world, the way you feel, the way you want and desire, and your action? And they need to be able to understand that, and we do it every time. Because this is the tuning. The writing is the tuning, and this is the instrument, this is the tool. So you have to be able to tell, this is my thought, and this is how I feel. You know, I think he's a jerk, and I feel angry. Okay, very good. So that's what you're thinking. What could be another thought? Well, I should not look at the faults of others. Oh, okay. So let's see how we can make that a reality. Well, that's a long distance between our thoughts and our actions. Baha'u'llah gives us a grace period. If you don't act on it, once you act on it, then its damage is done. But if you can take a grace period and transform your thoughts before you act, then you go free. That's the whole meaning of freedom. Well, the whole field of psychotherapy, once cognitive behavioral therapy came into the picture, because away from Freud and all those whatever that was there before, became a lot more aware of the interaction between thought and feeling and intention, and then it again converged toward the thing. However, they still do not have this element of the writings. There's no illumination. So now they're coming to say that at this juncture of mindfulness business, which is now viral everywhere, and as I mentioned, even John Kabat-Zinn, the schools, the kindergartners are being taught now, the schools are adopting mindfulness, and I'm thinking, as Baha'is, we need to be a lot more audacious and courageous in taking the process we have in the faith, because our faith, Baha'u'llah talks about a person who does not meditate cannot be called a human being, because without it, we are not able to reflect and detach from our own thoughts. Therefore, we cannot adopt his illumination. We're going to be stuck in our own thought. We're going to be like that monkey who's holding to his banana and cannot let go of it. Well, they're going into schools. Cities around the world that have problems, they're adopting it, mindfulness. And all they have, John Kabat-Zinn explains, he says, all it is, mindfulness is nothing but awareness. Just awareness of your thought. They're not saying change it to something else, but they don't hide it to something else. Now they're coming out from, now that the whole, this is viral all over the world, now they're becoming courageous. Now they're talking about, well, we got something behind the curtain that now we're going to bring out, and that is Ananta, which is a concept of God in the way they want. But this Ananta, or whatever it is, has a very great distinction with the revelation of Baha'u'llah, and that is, this is the only revelation that we have so much prayers and writings that constantly we can adjust our thoughts and our processes with it that no other religion of the past has. So that's why, and the concept of oneness of humanity, which is now the remedy recognized by governments of the world. My goodness, if anybody can do the magic of oneness, we're going to get rid of bullying, we're going to get rid of violence, we're going to get rid of poverty, we're going to get rid of every ailment. That's what Baha'u'llah says, you know, the symptoms. Whatever we see in the world is the symptoms of lack of unity and oneness. We can get rid of all the symptoms. We can cure the whole world. Do you think they don't recognize it? Absolutely they recognize it. That's why the superintendent of Pomona University School District comes and says, first of all, he creates a forum. For a whole 2 years, I don't know how many years, faith-based round table in his district office. Superintendent. Pomona University School District. Big school district. So I go there. I go there with my hat of Executive Director of Center for Global Integrated Education. I am very pleased that I created this nonprofit organization many years ago. It's a Baha'i-inspired organization, but it gives me really the cover and the opening to deal with organizations that maybe inwardly they are open, but outwardly they are afraid, even the superintendent, you know, of people who are opposed to it. So I go there with my, as a counselor, as a therapist. That is something that they revere tremendously. They don't have the funding to hire therapists in their school. And then add to it somebody who can do conflict resolution, who can do peer mediation training. Oh my goodness, there's like, you know, some treasure house open to it. And so he comes and asks me, he says, would you do K-1 something for my school? Would you be willing to do something? And then at that time I was training. The other thing I want you to know is universities have to offer to their students for their resume and getting into graduate school opportunities of service with nonprofit organization in the community. You need to know that. that means that they wine and dine you in order to accept their students. And the same thing, no exception, 5, 6, 7 colleges in Claremont, they all have my center as part of their website. So the students can go look and say, okay, I want to work with this organization. So they have other organizations. But most of these organizations, they don't offer training. They just give you a chance to go sit down with a kid and read books for them. Very simple stuff that is not demanding time-wise. But my organization, I train my intern. And after years of learning, I learned that I would prefer interns who are living locally, not an intern who comes from another state and after 4 years they leave. Because I'm putting all this time in training them, I want them to be there to serve. So, some years ago, 4 years ago, whatever, I had a student who was at one of the colleges, came to me and said, I want to know what you're doing and I want to help and I want to learn. Anyway, make it story short, all ended up in talking with her and creating a frame where I would go to her family. This is a whole group of tribe, almost like Peruvian families, very, very well-to-do, and all of them very capable, and a lot of young people. So her name is, this girl's name is Natalie. Now she's 25, 26, she's graduated. So I said, well, I'll come to your home, and then we will do a whole set of trainings and exploration on spiritual concepts. So I designed a program based on what I have very similar to these things, and I did the prayer at the beginning, talking about the prayer, this whole thing, for a whole year, every week. Grandma, grandpa, uncles, cousins, everybody was there. And then the parents of these kids became very, very desirous of having their children to be part of this for their own protection. And so, but two of them, Natalie and her cousin Valerie, they were very serious. So we created a 4-day, all-day training for them. I created a design program, and so they can be prepared to know what is it that I expect from them. And then Natalie, this one girl, was working for the city of Pomona for the drug and alcohol prevention program. I mean, she would go to the schools, and then she would be given students from the court and she would go training, and then she would get students in this organization, which had a big grant, to help them heal from their problem. And she would come to me and say, Kimon, there's this program that they're giving me to teach these kids. It's not effective, the kids are not learning anything, this is just to get the money, and really, they are not ethical. As I'm really feeling very, very discouraged. And so she kept complaining, and the system was very broken. So finally, close to the youth conferences, I said, Natalie, this is your chance to jump ship. So she jumped ship. Wow. She resigned from her work. She and her brother, her cousins, all went to and they took 50 people with them. They went to the youth conference, and they were facilitating because they were very skilled in knowing what to do. So then I said to Natalie, Natalie, the superintendent wants us to get into the school. I want you to go tell me which school you think we should pick. It's going to be our pick. She said, let's pick this school. This has junior high and high school together. And so I said, okay. So we go, and then we said, this is the school we want to work with. The superintendent literally whining and dining me in order to do this. Every time I called him, I said, I want to take a look at the school, I want to see the principal, I want to do this, I want to have... He was there himself. I thought, that's really interesting. There must be something that we have he needs. So, and later on he said what it is, because they're dire in really bad situations. The schools are like that. And the principal is a young, wonderful, educated woman, originally from Philippines. Really, really loving. The whole school, the whole office. So they helped us go through the process of credentialing us, so we be in the school without the supervision of any teachers. So we get credentialed. He said this takes 4 years, Kevon. He said he removed every obstacle. It took only 4 months. We got into this one. They gave us a room. And then they said, okay, what students? I said, I really don't want everybody. I want students that we select who have the capacity to lead. My goodness, I had no idea. That was absolutely a fallacy, because there is not such a thing as students who have the capacity. Everybody is in the same boat. Everybody comes with baggages beyond it. So all I learned is to be humble and to understand that House of Justice wants us to really realize what kind of a monumental avalanche is coming our way. And what humility we need to have in order to understand that these kids basically have a very, very, very limited vision. That is, they see the blade in front of their feet, what they have to eat, where they need to sleep, what kind of an exam they need to pass, and that maybe some of them, the better ones, they have some kind of a hope for some education. One day I asked them about a whole bunch, I don't know, 20, 25 of them. I said, how many of you would like to become a teacher? Nobody. How many of you have a desire to become an engineer? Nobody. How many of you would hope to become a physician? Nobody. Nobody. None. I didn't ask how many of you want to become gardener or something like that. Because that's what they see. So, no relationship, no good relationship, functional relationship with adults, including their teachers, no functional relationship with each other, constantly at the office. The vice principal, literally, when we enter the school, the counselor, the vice principal, the office staff, they cannot hug us enough to thank us enough to be there. So we get everything. So just talking about prayers, the kids learn prayer. This prayer makes you radiant. We have done every activity you imagine. They have used it as a menu to order for themselves certain attributes. They have done a mural with it. They have done songs with it. They have put it into music. They have put it into drawing. They have done everything you can imagine to understand the concepts and the metaphors of this prayer. And the office people come and walk into the room, and they hear one of these kids going with this voice, going and singing a part of this prayer. And they go to the office, oh, you should have seen Ryan. He was sounding so wonderful. That's what they say. So comes the baccalaureate just a few months ago, just a few weeks ago, before I came. The principal called me and said, Kevon, would you please do the prayer for the baccalaureate celebration? Your group will do it? I said, sure we do it. So we got the kids together and we sang, may you become the waves of one sea, the leaves of one flower, fruit of one tree, in front of the whole group. That's how it is. I just want you to know that the sea has changed, completely changed. It really takes a great deal of wisdom. You have to be wise in how you present it. We present the prayers in the form of songs. Because once it's a song, it's a song. It's just like somehow something changes. It's a song. So, and my interns, not Baha'is, but we train every week, 5-6 hours. Before we even go into consultation, they choose their prayers, we do meditation, then they say the prayers and they talk about what was in this prayer that moved them, that they identified as something that they have to do. And they create this sense of unity and oneness that is just, without it, we can't consult. And whenever we have new interns, we just had a new intern, a 19-year-old Chinese boy who had no idea about anything, the faith never heard of it. And the first time he comes and sits there, I didn't even explain. I said, that's what we do. We all go through these books, we pick a prayer, whatever you want, we share it, because it has something to do with what we think is important, and then we talk about it. He goes through the prayer book and he said, I read almost 50 pages of these, and I chose this one, and he shared. We didn't go any explanation. There is no need for explanation. We are not defending ourselves. You just do as it is. Every group is doing what it is. That's what mindfulness business is doing out there. So they have paved the way for us, my goodness. So we better take advantage of it. So this whole notion of self now is being gradually contested out of the mental health. That there is no self. Hey, that's really interesting. That's what Baha'u'llah says. That the real self is the divine self. But they have hoping that, you know, an anta, whatever it is, comes into the picture. And I mentioned that John about the goal of the whole mindfulness, the meaning of it, as far as he's concerned, the goal is awareness. That's it. Mindfulness equals awareness. You're aware of what you think, so you have the option of observing your own thoughts, running around, that's one option. The second type of meditation is observing your thought, wandering around, calling it back with your breath or something. And breath is not a mandatory anything. And what is refreshing from these gurus is meditation, it does not have to be any particular form, any particular shape. You don't have to sit a certain way. You don't have to. You can walk. You can sit. You can lie down. The only thing you cannot do when you meditate, sometimes they say you cannot talk. But even John Kabbalah said this. We say when I'm talking to you and being mindful, this is a form of meditation. However, Abdullah says you cannot contemplate and talk at the same time. So you have to be really paying attention to the writings as you're, going through this garden of meditation. So how much time do you have?
15 more minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to go fast a little bit. They're coming to make it universal, that this practice of meditation in all religions and all traditions of the past, so it's not unique. So they're paving the way. Mind you something, some years ago, somebody wanted to do meditation in one of the public schools. The Christian community asked them. That was some years ago. That's not again, that terrain has changed. Yes? So these people have been the divine instrument. As far as I'm concerned, they have been those people, the Baha'u'llah says, I raise people who come and they pave the way. They have paved the way for us. And now, the other thing, that a doorway into oneself and full dimensionality of human experience. Unto oneself. Now remember, we know that there is two selves. According to the Guardian and the writings of Abdullah, we have Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker in us at all times. The Guardian makes it very clear. It says every Baha'i must fight with themselves until they conquer themselves. Everybody, there's no exception. None. Ruya Khanum talks about her own fight with herself when she got angry. I would recommend that you go read. The Guardian talks about that our identity is of light. I am a Baha'i. This is our identity. Values come from here. Our values does not come from our own brain or mind or stuff like that. That has nothing to do with our real us. The real us is this, and we are approaching it all the time, every day, as we bring ourselves into account. So let's not get hung up on who I am and I'm going to fight you where you are. All of us are evolving, hopefully. So, a way of being in relationship and in capacity to hold relationality in awareness, which is really very much in harmony with the faith, because who are we in relationship? As Baha'is, who are we in relationship with? With Baha'u'llah. That is the main relationship. But good thing is that in relationship with Baha'u'llah makes it accessible for us to enter the garden that Abdullah talks about and tending the garden. It makes it available to us, go to the writings and have an emotional connection with the writings. Have an emotional connection. Abdullah says how to create that. He says, read the history of the manifestations of the past, become familiar with their life story, and live the life, live the life, live the life. So it's an experience and a knowledge. Stories are very important to be told to the kids, so they have that. It's important that we create stories ourselves. You cannot create a story if you live a very normal, average, happy life. Are you kidding? Nobody would be interested. Who is interested? Whose stories are interested? The Baha'is are wrong, right? Because they have lived the life in a way that's extraordinary. And I'm sure you have become familiar with some of the stories. I wish we had time, I would tell you some of it, because we have a very close connection with Frazier Baha'i prison, because his brother, her brother, Iraj, and us, we have an ensemble together, and so we see them and their mother once a week. And so sometimes we were at our house, and Frazier would call a long time ago from prison, and we could hear her expressions, her voice, and her stories, and we even picked it. So, I'm hoping I would remove this mystery. Mindfulness and awareness is the same. So this is all you can, so there's no mystery in that. It's awareness. So very good. And again, they acknowledge that we are hardly aware of what we are thinking. Like I want to, some parent called me some time ago and said, my daughter is going to go attend this mindfulness, whatever, in San Francisco. What do you think? Should I let her or should I not? I said, there's nothing, nothing wrong with it. It's fine. Now, however, everybody should know it is most difficult and challenging to keep the mind silent. It's impossible because the mind is an instrument of judgment and thinking. This whole notion even of non-judgmental does not even exist. Non-judgmental means basically suspending your judgment. Don't act on it. Don't make it final. Don't be bothered with it. Don't get frustrated with it. Just know that this is a kid. This generates garbage. Whatever. It just, okay.
Yeah,
you're okay. So don't get frustrated with it. That's a key. And bringing it back means bringing it back to some focus which is meaningful. And the book called Calm, which is by a Baha'i from the United Kingdom, I would recommend that because he has been teaching and doing meditation for 30 years, and he put together this wonderful package, a book and an instruction with a CD that relates you and refers you back to the writings. And the whole focus becomes love and compassion, but love and compassion, I mean, when you talk about, Buddhist compassion, okay, but what changes someone's thoughts and action is not to think that, oh, compassion is a very good thing, I need to become compassionate. That's not going to ever change anybody, because guess what? If it did, the whole Buddhist civilization and then Southeast Asia would be up in heaven right now. That's not heaven. Look at all the way they're treating women. Look at the women in India. Look at all, I mean, you don't have to say it. I don't have to say anything, but it's just somebody looks at it. So what Baha'u'llah is hoping that we create as a civilization is something quite distinct. And the reason we're doing it for His love. We're not doing it just because it sounds like a good idea. That does not have enough oomph in it. It is a good idea. It does not let you go off your bananas. I can assure you that. It just doesn't have enough force. Our bananas are a lot more important than just being good. So, but for Baha'u'llah, for Al-Baha, the believers do everything. They give their life. They have given their life. They go to prison. So it has a lot of power. So let's go here. So the best they say is the cultivation of intimacy with one's own self. I'm sorry, but that will not be satisfying for me. To have an intimacy with my own self. I try as a Baha'i to kind of put myself into perspective and keep myself over there. Because I can get myself into trouble. Not everything that Allah says, not everything we ask for and we beg for and we desire is good for us. So many of our desires that absolutely are detrimental. We have a concept called self-destructiveness. The whole field of psychotherapy it really banks on the fact that people are self-destructive. Yeah, they are. So we try to rescue them from their own thoughts. So these two kinds of meditation, one is observing the unruliness of the thought, the mind, and the other one is bringing it back to something that is better, is the two-time. Daniel Goleman makes it very clear, don't ever think that meditation is going to be a replacement for psychotherapy. Because meditation, especially in the kind that it is, you build a relationship with yourself, and you calm yourself down and just observe yourself, not going to guide you anywhere because there's no guide. You're left to yourself. That's why we go to the prayers. So, Baha'i concept is prayer and meditation. That means you pick a prayer, you select a prayer. So many times I ask the friends in therapy, I say, select a prayer. He or she comes and says, well, I used to say this prayer all the time. I said, no, I said, I want you to select a prayer that is deliberate, that you identify as having a word or something that means something in relation to what you're going to discuss. Removal of difficulty is wonderful, but you've been saying it so much, I don't think you even tune into any of the words. You're just saying it without thinking. I don't think that's going to serve you. Oh, he says, after a few months, for the first time I have become familiar with so many Baha'i prayers that I've never ever visited. So what are these prayers for? They're not for funerals only, So, using the prayers, and going into the metaphors of these prayers. He says, oh, the other thing which has been challenged by this whole thing is the whole concept of self-esteem. Goodness, for years when I heard that, I said, what in the world are you talking about? I'm always talking about selflessness, and this whole field talking self-esteem, everybody has bought into it, and they want to build up their kids' self-esteem. And now they're coming to say, there is such a thing as self-esteem, let's give up that. He says, and one of the well-known gurus says, he said, we keep boosting ourselves, self-esteem means I'm going to be better than everybody else. Put everybody else down, get myself up, and guess what? Towards the end of our life, we become old, decrepit, disabled. What happens to our self-esteem that we built? So basically he's saying your physical self-esteem, your self-esteem based on your appearances and your way of thinking, you ask the question, even our brain, where is our self-esteem when we have Alzheimer's or something like that? Well, if you are looking at it spiritually, it is intact. Because even after death is intact. But if you look at it in a material way, it's gone. So now they're coming, the gurus are coming and saying, this was a huge conference going on. He says, just think of accomplishments that once elevated your self-esteem. Perhaps earning your professional degree, getting a job, buying a house. Most of us habituate pretty quickly to our new level and quickly return to feeling inadequate in one way or the other. That's true. So this whole self-esteem is not functional. It doesn't do it. It doesn't have to do it. Thank you. I saw that. The notice came that we need to wrap up. So I think I'm going to wrap up here. It has been a wonderful pleasure to serve with you, to share with you. This is nothing other than the writings. The ocean is the writings, and the little drop is whatever it is because of my clinical background and what did I do, and I benefit from it, learn from it. You can do the same thing. And I'm hoping that in our process of working with the communities around us, we are open to ideas, new ideas that would work, is meeting the people and their challenges where they are, and not to become fixated on one way or the other, that you think this is the only way it's done and lose the whole boat. Really, I would really encourage you to be curious, 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 and your guidance. Thank you again.